Hey guys, Mickey from Tom's Outdoors. Now we're out here today just doing a bit of winter fishing up at Talbingo, but we thought we'd take this chance to go through and show you what's in my guide box that I use for my whole season. Now the box I run, I've got the Yeti Go box in blaze orange, which is good, so I can't lose it. You know, comes with custom stickers, so if you ever see this one floating down the river, please bring it back to me. Now this is the box I use for all my boat-based guiding. Let's say I'm down on the drift boat, I'm on a power boat, anything else where I'm out on the water all day, I'll carry this with me. If I'm going to do a high country day, if I'm hiking, I'll take this with me in the car and I'll take out what I need for the day and make sure I put it back in at the end of the day. To start off with, obviously I've got my fly boxes. I run the Fulling Mill boxes. They're standard box, standard large box is a great box for, you know, just general storage of everything I need. I've got my boxes split in two. I've got one that's a bit more dedicated towards lakes and then one that's a bit more dedicated towards the river. Now there is crossover in between. This one I generally consider my sort of streamer and lake box, and this one is my dry and nymph box. When it comes to flies that I have on me, as a guide, I need to make sure I've got flies for nearly every occasion, but even then, I'd keep flies pretty simple. Especially when it comes to nymphs, I like having just different sizes of about the same pattern, all in different weights, because weight's one of the most important things. And when it comes to streamers, a couple different colors, but again, different sizes, different weights. Dry flies, it's all about profile. I like having my nice big fat dry flies right up to my skinny ones. You'll find most guide flies that we run throughout the season are pretty simple. We just tend to change sizes and weights to match the conditions. Now, when it comes to nymphs, to be honest, as long as it's got a little bit of pink in it and it's heavy enough, that's my favorite nymph. It might be one of these Roses pink tags, a little Frenchie, something from Cat 3 with a bit of UV in it. I just like the right weight nymph with a bit of pink. You know, one pattern I've been using a lot of has been these Roses pink tags, variation on a theme, but they're fantastic. Little bit of UV, the correct amount of weight. When it comes to dry flies, it's a hard toss up between a big dun and a hopper, but there's nothing more fun than fishing a big hopper. And the fish seem to smoke these Rio Morris hoppers. I used to fish these a lot in the States, and we just started getting them into the store this year. They've been fantastic this season, and we're really looking forward to seeing how they're going to go the next few seasons. My favorite streamer at the moment, I actually really like these UV polar jigs from Fulling Mill. They're quite a heavy streamer, but I fish pretty aggressively. You can fish them on a floating line quite easily, but still get down with them because they've got a very heavy tungsten bead. They're actually originally designed to be fished dead drift, almost check nymphed. However, I like them as a pulling streamer because the jig action, the heavy weight of the bead, and I've caught a lot of fish this season on the lakes with these. Then I've got tippet. I've got everything from about your sort of standard 3X and 4X in fluoro and mono, up to some 10 pound and 20 pound in some fluorocarbon. I've also got a sighter line, so I use some of this for check nymphing and various other indicator rigs. Then, that's all in the kind of high quality scientific angler stuff. I've also got some shock tippet in that SA. I've got some 25 pound for cod and maybe some toothier critters. I also like carrying bulk spools of Maxima. I've got some 15 pound here and some 8 pound here. With those two, I can build butt ends of leaders. I can also fish heavy streamers or even lighter streamers too. Just looking at what's left in the top section of this box, and it is a handy feature of these boxes, you can pull out the little trays. In one side here, I've got a lot of different types of indicators. Indicators kind of make my world go round. We do a lot of indicator fishing on the river, and in which case I tend to use wool, or I'll also use the little Oros strike indicators. They end up in my little wool bag there. Right now we're doing a bit of bung fishing, which is a type of indicator I use at the lake a lot, so I've got plenty of those handy. Tippet rings are a really handy one that I've always got in my box. Because of the amount of nymph fishing that we do, we tend to step down very quickly between, let's say, 20 pound or 15 pound to 8 pound. And it's a lot easier to tie that on a tippet ring than it is to connect those knots through. So I like having tippet rings handy. Again, more indicators, bit more Maxima hiding away. You can never have too much 8 pound Maxima. I've always got some extra random spool of this line around somewhere. Now I've also got all the standards. I've got floatant, usually 7 different tubes that are about a quarter empty each. I've always got my forceps in my box, and when I start fishing, they're the first thing I grab out and stick to myself. These are scissor seps as well, so I can cut things, hopefully not my own finger there, but I can cut down wool indicators, I can cut line, I can even cut wire if I have to, and I have in a pinch or two. So I've got all those there. I also carry a little hook sharpener. I find it's probably one of the most important things that people tend to skip out on is just testing hooks every now and again. you know, again, when you're fishing nymphs, or even if you're fishing dry flies quite tight to the bank, you're gonna hit rocks, you're gonna hit other bits of hard stuff, and the points on your fly always need to be sharp. So whenever I'm tying knots, whenever I'm checking rigs, I tend to carry a little hook hone with me to tighten it up. I do carry a few spare tapered leaders. I tend to carry quite heavy tapered leaders because I can always make them a little bit lighter. So I like to carry a 2X tapered leader pack, because to that I can always go down to 3X, 4X, even 5X. I don't actually own a spool of 5X. I like going a bit heavier than most people. Speaking of going heavier than most people, I've got my split shot options. So I've got our little Orvis kind of mix and match set of smaller split shot. These are the non-toxic little reusable ones. They're fantastic. They come in all different sizes, from BB through to I think size 6 in these ones. Then I also carry some much bigger, fatter split shot, or even little bean sinkers. Some of these are for Murray cod, some of them for very heavy trout fishing. I like having weight. I'd rather have weight and be able to get to the bottom than not. On top of that, something I've always got about 50 of in my boat box are spare tippet elastics. Now these come on most tippet spools. I quite like the SA ones because they're chartreuse, one of my favorite colors. And these are kind of the WD-40 of fly fishing. There's always another use. I've used them to tie back my hair when I used to have a stupid top knot. One of the most common uses I use with them with clients is getting people to stop breaking their wrist. I'll get them to tuck the bottom of the rod into an elastic around their wrist, so when they go to cast, they can't bend their wrist back so much. So they work as a casting aid. You know, you can basically hold a car together with them if you have to, you know, or you can, you know, flick them at your mates as you go down the river. They're good fun. Then, coming back into the deeper section of my box, generally, this is the stuff I use less. First of all, most importantly, I've got my emergency venison jerky, because, you know, the worst thing in the world is being hungry on the river. Then, one thing I always carry is these clear wipes. I, you know, work with my eyes. I need to be able to see what's going on all the time. We get boat spray, we get rain. I've got greasy hands from time to time. Having these, and I can clean myself and all my clients' glasses with one of them. And then I just make sure to put them in my pocket and make sure they get disposed of responsibly. Speaking of disposing of things responsibly, I've got a dry bag, a little sandwich bag with some loo paper, extra zinc or sunscreen just in case. If it was summertime, I'd probably have another big sunscreen in here too. I always like having lots of extra sunscreen. I've got a lighter. The one thing you never want to run out of is electric batteries. So I've got spare batteries in there. I've also got, and this is a pretty specific one to boat guides, this little multi-tool. If you're a skater or you row a drift boat, you've probably got one of these. It's got a really strong Phillips head on it, really strong flathead on it, and it's got the same little socket size, so we can adjust things on the fly on our drift boats. Last but definitely not least, proper first aid kit. Now, obviously, being a fully commercial guide, we need to have in-date, up-to-date, fantastic, fully kitted out first aid kits. But I'd highly recommend them for your own box, bag, whatever, even if it's just a small one, even just, you know, always having a snake bandage at least and a couple of band-aids can't go wrong. Anyway, that's what's in the box, guys. If you like my sticker design, you know, I've got a few different cool ones on there. If you come into Tom's Outdoors, you maybe get one of these. Enjoy.